I think I was in second grade. I called used to call 0, remember, for the information or something? Or
Yep.
411 or something. Anyway, information. I said, I need to talk to Hollywood.
Just call up Hollywood. Just get them on, get
They're
them
like,
on the line.
and who do you want to talk to? I'm like, I don't care. Give me a movie producer or something. Like, I was like so intent on being famous. I wanted to be famous when I was a kid, which I don't want that now. I really don't. I mean, I'm okay with it, but it's not like a drive of mine.
Right.
It's like, but I think when I was a kid, I thought if you were famous, everything would just be great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's not. I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. But, you know, I say I was like the Z-list celebrity being on Survivor, you know. People are like, who are you again? But it's who I hang around that makes me cool. Because like I hang out with like Boston Rob and Sandra and Courtney and Todd, you know, the coolest survivors.
I just want to have fun around.
Leslie Nease, thank you for coming on the show. Welcome to She Toasted.
Are you kidding me? I'm so thrilled to be here.
I mean, I'm thrilled that you're here. I'm honored that you're here. I'm honoring your journey of being here. Love
it.
I have been really excited. Like, thank you truly from the bottom of my heart for coming on, because I know it's risque to come on to somebody's show that hasn't launched yet.
Yeah, but see, like, I know you and I believe in you. I've believed in you. I was like, why haven't you done this yet? Like a year ago. So I'm very thrilled.
I know. It's like the people that I'm going to be bringing on, I feel like are the ones that have been saying that to me. It's like, I only wanted to bring, and there's only like 5 of you out there.
Well,
but
I feel very honored to be one of them. So
it's always somebody who's been like in my life as a mentor or somebody that I just look to. And I feel like ever since we met, you've been somebody that I've looked up to in so many ways. And I mean, we became good friends. I'm friends with your family. Like, I just love it so much. And we met, just for context, a few years ago because we have similar backgrounds, and we kind of attached to that online. You have a very extensive resume that I am just so stoked to tell people about. So Leslie's been on Survivor. You've been a Christian radio host. You're a life coach. You have multiple podcasts, and I've been on one.
Yes.
You've written a book, and you're a mother. What haven't you done?
Oh my gosh. I'm sure there's something. I'm not afraid to try. I'm not afraid to fail. My mom always told me the only failure is not to try, and I believe her. And I think it's kind of fuels me. It's always fueled me my whole life. And I know it seems like a lot, but it's funny. Everything was just like, I don't know. I feel like I still haven't arrived. Like, I'm still trying to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing when I grow up. And I'm like 57 now. So I don't know. I don't know when that happens, but
no, that's perfect, because I was just going to say, before all of this stuff happened and I view it as success. I mean, I view this as just massive success for you. And before any of this happened, before you had, you know, your husband and kids and did any of the things that you're doing, you at one point were a kid yourself. And I'm like, when you were a kid, did you even dream that any of this would happen? Was this on your radar at all? Like writing a book, doing Survivor?
So funny that you asked that. I think I always I was a ham. I loved attention. I was like the cheerleader. I was the go, everybody's cheerleader, not just like literally, but figuratively. Like, I wanted everybody to succeed. I wanted everybody to be happy. I've always just been that person. When I walk in a room, I need to know your story. Yeah. And I remember being a little girl and sitting down. I don't know why I remember this. And my sister would pretend like she was filming me, and I would like do a newscast. I wanted to be a newscaster. That's what I wanted to do.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know that I could be that serious. And I don't know that I could be, talk about some of the stuff without like crying. You know what I mean? Because I'm so like hypersensitive and emotive, I guess you could say. And so I think I always wanted to do something to encourage people. I don't know that I ever really knew what it was. I do remember, I think I was in second grade. I called used to call 0, remember, for the information or something, or 411 or something. Anyway, information. I said, I need to talk to Hollywood.
Just call up Hollywood. Just get them on
the
line.
And who do you want to talk to? I'm like, I don't care. Give me a movie producer or something. Like, I was like so intent on being famous. I wanted to be famous when I was a kid, which I don't want that now. I really don't. I mean, I'm okay with it, but it's not like a drive of mine. Right. It's like, but I think when I was a kid, I thought if you were famous, everything would just be great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's not. I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know. But, you know, I say I was like the Z-list celebrity being on Survivor, you know. People are like, who are you again? But it's who I hang around that makes me cool. Because, like, I hang out with, like, Boston Rob and Sandra and Courtney and Todd, you know, the coolest survivors. But, yeah, I think I always just wanted to be, I'm not, it's not that I was seeking the spotlight. I think maybe initially, but I think I just am comfortable in it. It doesn't bother me.
Was leadership in your mind, like leading? So there's fame and there's the performance aspect, but then there's leading like a whole group of people and being in charge of something, or like a pastor of sorts, you know, like that type of, I mean, we both grew up in church. Was there anything in the leadership realm that attracted you to that? Or was it just kind of like, okay, me and I'm going to be famous?
I think it was, I just love ideas. I love people. I love helping people. I don't know that I ever really thought about leadership. I think when I was in evangelical Christianity, which, you know, I've kind of deconstructed all of that, big story. But when I was in that, I think I wanted to be a leader, but, you know, I was a woman.
Oh, yeah, shame.
So I could not be a leader.
Hide your face.
I could lead women. I could lead youth, which is so funny because in retrospect, now I'm like, why were they okay with that? Did they just not care if I misled them? They just didn't want me misleading the men? I don't know. But anyway, I think I felt very comfortable being a leader, but I didn't want to be followed. I wanted to walk beside and like help people grow. I wanted to help people find truth. I wanted to help people find themselves. And so I think that has kind of always been the carrot in front of me. It's just, I just want to bring out the best in people.
Yeah, which naturally puts you kind of in a leadership position because they sense that in you and they feel that safety net. And that was totally for me. I mean, like you lead my way, Leslie. I don't believe in God anymore, but I believe in Leslie.
Oh, that's so sweet. I feel so honored.
So how old were you when you originally auditioned for Survivor the first time?
My first audition was in 2001, and it was right after they aired Africa, which was season 3. So I think I was, goodness, I must have been 31. 31?
31? Okay, so how many, did you have all of your kids at this point?
Yeah, I had my kids early. Like,
okay, yeah.
Stephanie I had when I was still a child. I think I was 20 when I gave birth to her. And then Tommy, I was 23. And then I had Kennedy when I was 28. And Peyton at 30 or 31, something like that.
Okay.
And so I think my audition process, like I think Peyton was born in 2000. My first audition was in 2001. And it was bad. My audition tapes were so bad. I look back, I'm like, oh my God, if anybody ever finds these, I'm dead.
No, I was just going to say, can we find these? Are these on the internet?
No, you cannot find. There's only one on the internet, and it's the one that got me picked, which I'm very proud of. Nice. That one was good because it took me years to figure out how to do this. Like my first audition video was like, me talking to the camera saying, I survived being the mom of 4. And it like showed my kids just being hellions in the background, like fighting, throwing pillows at each other. And like, I was like, and I drive a minivan, not because I want to, or because I think it's cool, but because it's how you adapt. You know, I was like trying to, and my kids would, you know, would they ever vote me out? No, they need me. Everybody needs me. You know, that kind of thing. That didn't work. And then I bungee jumped. I dressed up like Gilligan, the professor, Marianne, and Skipper, and all those. And you know, did even Ginger.
You did like the intro?
Oh, it was so bad. It was so bad.
Like the song? Did you sing?
I did.
Wow.
I did.
And we have no proof of this because I will find it.
Okay, well, if we do, you will never find it, my love. Never. This is the kind of stuff that only I watch. And I can't even let my family watch it anymore. Because I'm like, there was one time I dressed up like a present at Christmas and had like a bathing suit underneath, you know, and it was... I just look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, no wonder they didn't call you. Like I rapped. I did a rap with Stephanie and Tommy because they were like one on each side. And that one, I thought that was really fun.
And these were all different auditions?
Every 6 months I would send in a new, I tried out 11 times.
Every 6 months? 11 times?
Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, they just must not be ready for me. I was so sure. I was like, I'm going to be on Survivor. They just aren't ready. When I knew when they called, it was my time. I even told them that.
You manifested the shit out of that.
I prayed, my love. I prayed.
And
God told me. No, I'm kidding. I really did feel very confident. I was like, I prayed. I said, don't even let them call me until it's time.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to get excited and get my hopes up.
Right.
And they didn't call until it was time. And when they called, I said, oh, this must be time. I'm going to go pack my bags because I prayed about this and I asked God, like, not even to let you call me until it was time. And it must be time. And they just thought, oh, she's a weird Christian woman. We love this. She's going to be great. She's gonna be fabulous.
It was hilarious watching you. And like, we'll get into your whole experience, but it was hilarious watching you, knowing you now as Sister Christian. Because it's just night and day difference. But at the same time, there were parts of you that came out in that show where I was just like, there she is.
Yep.
Like, even you just wanting to get to know everybody in the way that you went about it, it was just so genuine. You can't help but also love you while you watch it. Yeah. Like, it was so funny. You're asking somebody what they do for a living, and this guy just goes, I bury bodies. And he was a grave digger in his career. And I'm pretty sure you thought he was kidding at first. You're just like, oh.
That's interesting.
Wow.
I remember that conversation. And I threw a scripture in. I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh my gosh.
He said, I need to be more charming. And I was like, charm is deceptive. Because that's a scripture, Proverbs 31. But beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord should be praised, or whatever. I didn't say the rest of it. I just said, charm is deceptive. You be you and you'll be fine. And then he got the fan favorite, won $100,000. I was like, dang.
Oh my. The gravedigger did?
Yeah, he did.
Good for him.
I know. James, I love him.
James, shout out to James. We love you, gravedigger. I want to dive into like the experience in detail, but I did ask some of my friends and family who are diehard Survivor fans to just pepper you with some random questions.
Bring it. I love it.
How long does it take for the medical team to actually get to an injured person at camp?
It depends. Like if you're at camp, it could take, 20, 30 minutes. But if you are like at a challenge, they're there. They're already there, ready to go if you need them. As a matter of fact, before every challenge, they make sure that we're all okay. They like take our temperature. How are you feeling? Are you, getting enough to drink and blah, blah, blah. Like they do a little evaluation at every challenge. So you kind of started off like knowing where everybody's at, but yeah.
How far are the challenges from your camp?
Honest to God, I have no idea because we would leave our camp and then we would get in a boat and then we would get in a van and the van had like black garbage bags up. They wouldn't let us see where we were going and it would take us sometimes forever. And then sometimes we'd have to hike for, 30, 40, 50 minutes to get that. Like it was insane. It took half the day just to get to the challenge when we were in China. I don't think it's that way anymore. They're only having it now in Fiji, which is great because now it's very predictable and they probably have a pretty good system going. But like in China, you just every challenge was at a different place. Sometimes it was at a lake. Sometimes it was in a mud pit. It kind of just depended what they were doing.
Oh my gosh.
It's a lot more intense than you see on TV, for sure.
So if you're having to travel and do all of that for half a day before a challenge, are you already just beyond exhausted before you get to the challenge? And then and then you're in the heat.
Yeah.
And no wonder people get heat stroke.
Oh yeah. It's the real deal. I'm not kidding. I tell people, have you ever had a dream where you're trying to run and your body won't work?
Yeah. Or punch someone in the face.
Yes.
It's slow-mo.
And you're like, yeah. That was how I felt on Survivor 24/7. But I was also very sick. They didn't show a lot of this. You heard me, I think, on day 6 or something talk about I've been really sick. Like, ugh.
Right.
I don't think you got how sick I was. And I'm very thankful because season 50 just finished and they showed this one kid like with diarrhea and he was like sick and they like showed the back of his pants and talked about him pooping his pants. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad they didn't show because I had like, sorry if you have a weak stomach, but this is who I am. I am very open. I don't care. I'm a human being. We all have bouts of diarrhea. I just happened to have it running down my leg the whole time I was on Survivor. So yeah, isn't that fun?
Holy crap. So they don't send you anything like medically if you have the shits?
No. It was terrible. No. I lost 17 pounds in 9 days. Yeah.
Holy crap.
I had a parasite. And they did, I think it was day 7 or 8, they took like a sample. I know that's gross, but they wanted to see, like, do you have a parasite? And so when I was voted out on day 9, they said, by the way, you have a parasite and we don't even know what it is. Like it's unidentified.
They waited till you were voted out. And
I think
then
they would
on your
have,
way
I don't
out,
know what they would have told me. Like the medical doctor meets with you when you're voted out. And like he was like, yeah, you definitely need to be treated for parasite. We're not really quite sure what it is. So they gave me some medication for it. And yeah, that was joyful.
What about it makes it so that they can't give you that medication beforehand? They just want
Well,
people
I
to
think
be.
he had just gotten the test results back. That's why I'm like, I wonder if they would have treated me had I been on the game still. I don't know. I would assume they did because everybody told me that once they realized I had a parasite, they treated everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, they were like, oh, if she's got it, they're all going to get it. I was like, you're welcome. You're welcome, everyone.
So do you quite literally go from Jeff puts out your fire and then you just walk down and find a doctor and they're like, you got a parasite and you're going home?
Sort of. We didn't go home. We had to stay in China. Like they keep you there the whole time.
The whole
Yeah.
season?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. You don't get to go home. I didn't get to see what happened after like the first 6 of us went on this whirlwind trip of China, but we had to stay in China in case they needed us back for any other reason.
Okay.
They didn't want to have to like bring us back. And so we stayed in China until the filming was over. But like the jury stayed at Ponderosa. We went but of course we're all like deathly ill. Like,
Yeah.
but it was really interesting. It was fun. I mean,
So what happens when you do get voted out and you're now with that group of people? What are you guys doing?
we went, the first place we went was like Nanchang. And then we went to, it was like planes, trains, and automobiles. Like we were just traveling all over China. We went to Shanghai. We stayed at a 5-star resort and got a massage. I remember Sharia and I she was the 6th one voted out. So she had just gotten voted out like 2 nights before. We're in Shanghai and we're in our room. We're roommates, right? And she's got a massage therapist. I've got one. We're on our beds and it's pouring rain outside. And we like locked eyes and just started cracking up. I'm like, those suckers, they're still out there suffering. And we're like getting this massage. We have meals on the way. You know what I mean? It was hilarious. I was like,
Totally.
this is the kind of survivor I can survive. Yeah.
Yeah, the bougie kind.
Oh, yeah,
Get me the
totally.
masseuse and the martini, and then I'll go on Survivor. I was shocked when they took all your bags. So I hadn't watched that many seasons of Survivor, so this was one of the first seasons that I had watched in full. But when they took your bags and you just had to wear the clothes off your back, did they give you guys no warning about that whatsoever? Like that was truly, because some of those boots that those girls were wearing, I was like, woof, I'm glad I'm not you.
To be honest, I knew what was happening because I was a huge Survivor fan. Like I tried out 11 times. I was following all the message boards because that's what we did back then before Reddit and, all the things now.
Message boards.
And so I knew when they said, you need to have a press outfit and you need to have this outfit and a bathing suit and all. I was like, the press outfit is what we're going to wear. I knew it. And so I chose my clothes. We all get to choose, but we send them like 3 different outfits and then they send 2 of them back. So then you know what you're going to be wearing. I was like, I knew they were going to pick that because I look like a Sunday school teacher. I had on like the long sleeves and the long skirt.
The long skirt.
Totally. It was so strategic. Like my long sleeves, it was a very thin shirt. I actually got it from Justice when my girls were like shopping
little
one time.
kids store?
Yeah, the little kids store. And I was like, oh, that'll be perfect for Survivor. It was like thin, but it was long. I was like, that'll help protect me from the sun and bugs. And then the skirt was very strategic. I was like, for one thing, they wanted us to kind of look like who we were. And I was the Sunday school teacher. I was like the one, the Christian lady.
Right.
So I was like, they're going to love this skirt. This looks like something a homeschooler would wear.
Yeah.
I would never, by the way, wear that skirt ever in real life.
Okay, noted.
Okay, but there were 2
That
things.
was a little crazy.
There were 2 things. 2 things I thought about strategically. First of all, I thought I need to have a skirt so that I can sometimes you have to boil your panties so that you can clean them. And so I was like, I'm going to need to wear a skirt so that I can air her out a little bit. You know what I mean? Because, we women know this stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that's a good idea. And then also I was like, I'm going to, as soon as I can, take the machete and cut the bottom of my skirt. We'll use it for pot holders. We'll use it for whatever. We used the crap out of the bottom of my dress. So it was all very strategic. And it had pockets. I made sure it had pockets so that if I got a clue, I could stuff it in there. And that's exactly what I did.
Oh my
Isn't that fun?
lands. That
I
is
know.
amazing.
See, I knew
That's
what I was
very
doing.
impressive.
They didn't look, I mean, they didn't like edit me to see. You couldn't tell that I was like playing the game. You couldn't tell. They basically wanted me to be Sister Christian.
Yeah.
And so anything I said about God, they showed. Anything I said about Jesus, they showed. Anything they showed about me praying or crying or wanting my Bible, all of that, they didn't show any of my gameplay, which is hilarious because I really had a good strategy and I just got screwed.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they definitely did a good job at showing everybody's eye rolls.
Yes.
When you would do something very Christian.
Okay, they'd
it'd
be
be like
showing
the
mine
side
now.
eye.
I would be like, oh God, there she goes again. The lack of self-awareness. Yeah.
That would be what I would be worried about is like my reaction. And then I'm thinking, okay, that was like, nobody saw that, right? Like the camera wasn't on me, right?
No,
Like
you'd be
that's
surprised. They catch everything. It's insane.
No, I would be terrified of reality TV in general.
Yeah.
Like, did you feel like you got the reality TV experience from that? Or do you feel like it was a
100%.
different type of...
I felt Survivor, I think if you're going to do reality TV, it's the one to do. I felt very respected. I felt like I had a story.
Yeah.
Like they cared about me as a human being. They took care of me afterwards. They took care of me beforehand. I made friends for life. I felt like I mattered even though I was out third. Do you know what I mean? Like I
Right.
felt like I had a story. I was chapter 3
Right.
of the Survivor China book, you know?
Right. You were the Sister Christian.
Yeah. And I feel like I got the full experience because I was kidnapped. I got to play in challenges. I got to win. I got to lose. I got to make fire. I got to, I did it all. I
Yeah.
did the whole thing in my 9 days. So it felt like I got the full reality experience.
I always am curious as to the production side of things and the back end. I would love to be a producer for a reality show,
Yeah.
but probably not on one.
It's a great experience. I mean, but Survivor felt like I had, like I mattered. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it worries me that a lot of the reality shows today they're just churning people in and out, and I think there's a psychological impact that happens, especially with the young people who think, oh, I'm on reality TV, I'm going to be so famous, and you're like,
Famous and my vocation is set and my bank account is set now, and because you get brand deals and this and that.
But you don't. Most people don't. That's very rare. And most people, and this is the weird thing, you have this surreal experience. You go on reality TV, everybody's talking about you for like 10 seconds, and then you just go back to like waiting tables or whatever you do. And you're like, wait, what? This didn't change anything except my expectations, which are now crushed,
Right.
So I actually came, I've been talking about maybe doing some coaching and helping people get through that, because I just feel like it can be really, really hard. And, they just keep trying to chase that. They think this is going to be the thing. And reality TV is a great experience, and it can teach you a lot, and it can be a lot of fun. But if that's what you're relying on to be famous or to make an impact, it's probably not going to work out. And the majority of the time, like Boston Rob, big deal. Everybody knows who Boston Rob is for the most part, from Survivor.
Right.
1 in a million. It's very difficult to be that big of a deal just from being a contestant on reality TV.
Yeah. It's a good reality check for everybody.
Yeah.
Because I do think that with how polarizing the internet is and social media, like we can easily go down those rabbit holes of comparison, but just hearing somebody who's experienced it say like it's not all it's cracked out to be is, I think a lot more people need to hear that and remember that and just be okay with where they're at.
Depending on what you're going in for. Like I always tell
Right.
people, if you're going in to figure out who you are, please figure out who you are first. Because this is very hard to like figure out who you are on national TV with everybody watching and judging, especially in today's world of like social media, and everybody has an opinion, and boy, do they have opinions about reality stars, and it's, if you already know who you are, you're going in just to like have some fun.
Yeah.
This just sounds like an adventure and I want to win that money, then
Yeah.
go have fun and go do it. But if you're going in there to try to figure out who you are, I think you need to do that first.
Yeah, I can't imagine just even having been on TikTok womp womp for like a half a second. It's like the haters, they flood the zone for sure.
You're fair game.
You're fair game, and it really, not everybody's cut out for that. So I do think that is something important for people to recognize as the fame chasers, is that like the haters, they're there and they're louder than the lovers in many ways.
Yes. And you have to know who you are so that you don't fall into, is that who I am? Oh my gosh, and start believing it.
Right.
So if you're going on to reality TV to find out who you are, you're only going to find out who everybody else thinks you are. And if you're already insecure, it's going to up the ante in that so much more. So I'm very skeptical. Like I'm always like, especially now, because reality TV there's so many different ones now. And so many people are doing all the different shows, trying to find their place in the world. And I just feel like it's a pipe dream. It's a very difficult thing to chase. So you got to kind of know what you're doing when you do it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Wah, wah.
My sister is wondering, did you interact with Jeff a lot? And if so, is he a dick?
Okay. I loved Jeff. As a matter of fact, here's a funny story. When I was in my casting, like when they were trying to see if they wanted me to be on the show or not, they sent me to LA. And I could tell by their questioning that they were trying to pigeonhole me into the Christian. This is going to be the Christian girl, right?
Right.
A lot of questions about my faith and how do you feel about homosexuality and blah, 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 blah. And then they asked me the ultimate question in front of everyone. Everybody was sitting in the room. Jeff had just walked in like a minute and a half before they asked this question. They were like, so Leslie, what's the last sin you committed? And I was like, I think it was when Jeff walked in the room. I saw him and I was like, he's hot. And I was like, I'm a married woman. And he is
a babe.
He was like, she's on the show. I love Jeff. He's a great guy. And, he was very supportive of me in my first tribal council. They don't show a lot. Like, that takes forever.
Right.
But they only, it's like 10 minutes when they air it. He literally said, it seems to me like you're about to vote off the one person who I really think you guys can trust. And I went, oh, crap. They're going to vote me out. Like, I had no idea. I thought it was Courtney. I thought they were going to be voting her out. And he was almost like fighting for me to stay. And it made me feel really good. I was like, aw. I mean, I didn't stay. They didn't listen to him. But that was something. I thought that was interesting.
Wow.
I liked Jeff. He was fun. And, I thought it would really annoy me. You know how he does a play-by-play while you're doing your challenges? Right. And you just want to deck him? Like, shut up, Jeff.
Yeah.
You don't even hear him. You're so in the moment. Like, his voice is just background noise. Like, you don't hear it. So I was glad because I was like, I really don't want to be annoyed with him, but I think that would be annoying.
I mean, it's so great to hear that because I feel like Survivor fans everywhere, it's just like Jeff is part of their family.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He's in their living room every night.
He loves this show. And I think, he's evolved a lot since the show started. And he's got some new ideas that I'm not sure I love. Like, he wants to get rid of villains. I'm like, are you joking?
Oh.
Like, people watch to hate somebody. Like,
right.
And if they're willing to be a villain and be hated, let them be.
Yeah,
like,
you need your haters.
Come on, you know. But I think he's like in his older age, we all get a little softer.
Oh,
and I think he's just like, the world is just so hard right now. We need to be a safe place for people. And I'm like, this is Survivor, Jeff. But
oh my gosh, I love that he was going to bat for you. That's a cool memory too, just to have. Do you guys get to know the producers at all, like pretty well? Yeah.
Actually, one of my favorite producers, his name is David Pritikin. Love him. He just started his own production company, and I'm so excited for him. He was my favorite. He would take me for these side twos all the time. He was this Jewish guy, and he was so enthralled by me because I was so Christian and very certain of everything. And he had a lot of questions about my faith and like, what do you think of stem cell research? And I would just laugh. I'd be like, just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean I have an opinion on everything. You know what I mean? Like, please, like, don't make me look stupid. So we had a really fun relationship. And when I came back, he sent me a message on MySpace and said,
whoa. So many throwback references
I
in this
know,
episode.
this is 2007,
We got
right?
dial-up and MySpace.
I know, right? So anyway, but he said, it was so sweet. He goes, I know you're disappointed that you didn't last longer than 9 days. He said, but I need you to know you made more of an impression in 9 days than most people do in an entire season, and you should be very proud of yourself.
Wow.
And I saved that. It meant so much to me because I was like, did they think I was stupid? Did they, blah, blah, blah. You get in your head after you get voted out. You're like, why? What did he do? I get it now. But like at the time, I was like, I don't know what I did. I mean, but I was sick. I think I was probably a hindrance to them. They did the right thing.
In hindsight, you're like, they did that.
At the time, I was like, they hate me. It was funny.
How many times have you rewatched your season?
Not many.
Not many?
It makes me cringe so bad. As a matter of fact, when it was premiering, it premiered September 20th, 2007. I had a hurl bucket beside me because I was so nauseous. I was like, you don't know what they're going to show. Am I going to be evil? Am I going to be good? Were they true to my edit? They can take anything. I mean, they can only take what you give them. So let's be fair there. Like they really can't make you into something that you're not at all. But it's so one-dimensional. Like they literally, I am a multifaceted, I'm competitive, I'm funny, I have all these different things. But the only thing that the people saw was my Christianity. And, very typecasty, kind of like you're a character.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't sure what they were going to show. And, I said cuss words, which I say all the time now. But at the time I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my job on Christian radio because I said shit when they threw me off the boat. And I lied. I played the game. I was in it. I was in a cross-tribal alliance, the very first one ever. And they didn't even show it because I left so early. And I'm so sad about it. But all these things I was doing, they didn't show. And those were the things that I thought I was going to throw up about. I was like, if they show me being this person, then the world is going to know that I'm this and not this. And because, when you're in Christianity and even Mormonism, whatever religion, your responsibility is to be perfect.
Right.
I mean, or at least give the impression that you're perfect.
Right.
And make people believe that because you're representing the God of the universe and you need people to know him and want to know him.
Yeah.
If they saw me lying, cussing, playing the game the way I played it, I probably there would have been a lot of hate from the Christian community, but the Christian community celebrated me, which was a win for Sister Christian. It was great.
They did. They after you were done, it was like, okay, check.
It was like the Super Bowl. Like, I'm not even kidding. When I walked out of that temple, you can almost hear all the Christians screaming, so happy that I walked out. Like, yeah. I mean, I got so much mail. There was only a few people that were like, you're a terrible Christian. Jesus would never go on Survivor and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whatever. You don't see the whole picture,
Right. Yeah.
But most people were very supportive. And like, they compared me to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, like not bowing. And of course I received that. I was like,
because you went into the fire and you came out alive.
I only smelled like smoke.
Fires of Chinese temples.
Yes, it was amazing. And so, there was a celebration and I was celebrated. And I appreciate that they did a good job of editing me at that time.
Sure.
In retrospect, I now watch it and I'm like, they protected me from a lot of things that I wish I would have gone through at that time.
Oh, interesting.
Do you know what I mean? I wish I could have shown the world that, like, sometimes I do say cuss words.
Right.
Sometimes I do play a game the way I'm supposed to. Sometimes I do these things. And, they only wanted to show me a Sister Christian. And so I guess if you're going to get an edit, that's the way to get it. Just be the naive. What's happening? I have no idea what's happening. But I did know what I was behind this. I was doing it. I was playing the game. But I was sick.
For reference, for people who haven't watched Leslie's season, and everybody should, but first episode, she makes a decision to not participate in the ritualistic ceremony that took place in a Chinese temple.
Yeah.
And like taking you back to that moment, that it seems like no regrets there.
No, I still don't have regrets because honestly, this is what I want for human beings. I want them to feel like they can live their convictions as long as they're not harming anyone else. They can just live your convictions and do no harm. And I remember in that moment, I was like, I can't bow to this. And it wasn't because I was afraid God was going to be mad at me or take my salvation. It wasn't like that. It was like, I literally thought to myself, I love God. I love Jesus, right? And if I bow to this, how is that going to look? And I thought to myself, if I go and make out with the neighbor guy and go, but honey, I was thinking about you the whole time. It meant nothing. It would still look pretty bad. Like, these are the thoughts going through my ADD mind as I'm like, should I bow? No, you shouldn't bow. You know,
Yeah.
I just really was like, you know what, I'm going to stand up for my faith. And I really thought it meant I was going home, which meant a lot to me because I wanted this so bad.
So 11 times
11
bad.
auditions, and they told us if you offend the Chinese culture at all, we're going to take you out and put your alternate in. So my thought was, they're going to take me out. I thought they were going to take me out
Okay.
and put somebody in. So that's why I cried. Everybody's like, why did she cry? What is wrong with her? Why did she say she's not religious? Because they said, you know, Leslie, why'd you walk out? He asked somebody else before me. Another person had walked out, John Robert, the poker player from Las Vegas. He said, John Robert, why'd you walk out? He goes, I don't know. It was weird. I'm not religious. That's all he said. And then he goes, Leslie, what about you? And I was like, well, I'm not religious either, because that's what I was told to say. I have a relationship with Jesus Christ, and I'm only going to put my face on the floor for him. And it was like immediate, oh, that's who she is. Everybody knew in that moment. And so my
they
cards
did.
were on the table, fully faced up. You know what I mean? So I was like, dang it. But I think for me, I was so afraid I wanted this more than I wanted God. And I think in that moment I realized I didn't. And so that it kind of empowered me to play the game and just have fun, because I felt like it was all sort of like, from here on out, it was just gravy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just go have fun.
Yeah.
And I knew I wasn't going to win at that point. As soon as people know you're a Christian, they're like, oh, she's not going to lie. She's not going to do that. And I was like, no, I will totally lie. This is a game. You know,
is a game. Yeah.
I play balderdash and I kick my kids' butts all the time, and I don't apologize. You know, it is different though when you're out there forming relationships with people. So that's kind of what started my switch in my journey. Was one of the people that I formed a very tight relationship with, the guy who ended up winning my season, Todd Herzog.
Yes. Yeah.
Mormon.
He wrote your foreword, and
Yeah. He and I have a podcast with him now. We do it together, Beyond the Torch. But I fell in love with him just as he was like my kid. He called me mama. When he voted me out, he put mama. And then he was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, dude, it's a game. I love you. I hugged everybody before I left. But I came back and I, went right back into my job and on the speaking circuit, going all around the world, telling everybody how to be gutsy for God. That was and I used a Chinese figure to talk. It was bad. It was very, very evangelical. Like, what do you call it when you have like a shtick? It was a shtick.
Yeah.
And I was like, get gutsy for God. And I had sweatshirts and everything, and teaching people to stand up for their faith, no matter how, what the cost might be, blah, blah,
Right.
blah. But as I'm doing that, I'm like asking people questions like, why do we tell homosexuals they're going to hell? And they're like, well, it's an abomination. I'm like, yeah, but I just looked it up, and so is eating shellfish and mixing fabrics. And why are we picking this one? Well, because it's an abomination. And I'm like, help me understand. So then I did more research on where is this word coming from? And it was wasn't even a word. Homosexual wasn't even a word until 1868.
Yeah.
And it was a German word used for, somebody who likes the same sex. I don't even think they thought anything of it back. I don't even think it was a big deal. And the word that they used for homosexual was actually somebody who would take advantage of young boys. Like when they would go to war, okay? You do the research, this is what you find out.
Yeah.
When they would go to war, they couldn't take women, but they were horny, right? Horny jerks out there fighting people and killing people. And they would bring these young boys along and they would sexually abuse them. So these were sexual abusers it was a power thing. They were asserting power over somebody, and it was not consensual. It was not loving. It was not a relationship. It had nothing to do with love. It was disgusting. And that's the word that was used in the original Greek and Hebrew that they turned into homosexual in 1946. Okay. And it was when they were translating the Schofield Bible. And there's an entire movie on this. It's called 1946. The mistranslation that something, that ruined a generation or whatever. But it's when you start to realize this is not a direct thing from God. This is a man-made interpretation of something that was said in a Bible. It wasn't necessarily true. And oh gosh, girl, the minute I realized that, I sat back and I went, what else are they teaching me that I need to look into? And thus the journey began.
Because you did mention something about how your experience on Survivor was the first time you had recognized how other people view Christians. Yeah. And then you were also kind of starting that deconstruction process
I was.
unknowingly to yourself.
I would have never known.
And was it because you became good friends with Todd specifically and he was gay and you kind of have to reconcile with that? If you have a gay friend or a gay child, you have to, and you have homophobia inside of you, like that shit will be forced to the surface. It'll come to the surface and you have to deal with it.
And I would say it was more than just a really, like I loved him like he was my kid. And I realized in that moment why so many people leave religion for this reason. You know, I think about the kid who just came out, who was in Mormonism, who was like on American Idol. What was
David Archuleta.
Yes. And how his mom was like, well, then I'm going to go to hell with you. I was like, you bet you will. And it's funny because I used to get so scared that one of my kids would tell me they were gay. And I was like, what am I going to do? Because I was told if your kid is gay, you shun them. Like you push them away. You tell them to go, you know, figure this out. And if you want to have a relationship with me, you need to change your lifestyle because this is your God.
Right.
I remember telling Todd initially, I didn't like how I felt when I said it, but I would say, you're choosing your lifestyle over God. That means your lifestyle is your God because that's what I was taught. And he never told me, will you please dig into this and find out more about this work? You know, he didn't do that, but my love for him sent me on this journey of discovery. And I realized, oh, there's a lot of things that I was taught that are just an interpretation that wasn't initially the full meaning. And then I realized, how many times did Jesus say, you've heard it said this, but I tell you this? How many times did he do that to people when he was teaching?
Right.
And I'm like, I think we just get it wrong, but we get so comfortable and certain that we're like, we can't question it because if we question that, then we're going to have to question other things. Right. And it is literally the first string I pulled. And before I knew it, the sweater was like in front of me, a pile of yarn that made no sense. And I had to put it back together. And it was terrifying. I mean, it was the most terrifying thing I've ever been through in my life, realizing I had lost my I don't even want to say faith. I had lost my indoctrination. I was fighting for my faith. I was fighting for truth. And I lost the indoctrination that made me feel safe. And then when I started questioning it, I realized that was a facade too. You are unconditionally loved. We loved you no matter what, Leslie. You're always a part of our family. The second I started questioning things, I was shunned. I was told, there's the door. I was told, please unfollow my kids on Facebook. I don't want my kids to see the stuff that you're putting out there. It was very difficult. But it was also kind of like trial by fire. Like, I feel like the fire burned off the stuff that didn't matter anyway. And the stuff that came out of it was like true relationships with people who love me for who I am and not for what I believe. And that was huge. Big deal.
No, that is amazing. And Todd, who won Leslie's season of Survivor, wrote the foreword for your book. And in his description of you, I mean, he just has no end to nice words to say about you. I mean, he describes you perfectly accurately, I will say.
Oh,
but I mean, it's like almost the whole forward. I'm like, did you tell him what to write? Because
I didn't.
He's just going off like raving about how amazing of a person you are and how wild it is that the two of you specifically became so close. They describe him in the show as the gay Mormon flight attendant.
Yeah.
They describe him as that, and then you were Sister Christian.
Yeah.
I just thought that relationship was so amazing, and the fact that it came full circle, and the fact that he was raised Mormon, you were raised Christian. I've been both, so I can kind of see the overlap there, and the fact that he's now writing the foreword for your book that you are writing about deconstructing Christianity. It's just a full circle. It was a full circle moment for me as your friend to read that and like to just be like, and to put all of that together. Because the first time I read it, I didn't realize who he was. So, but that's really cool that you gained lifelong friendships from that experience. And the fact that it started your deconstruction journey.
It's crazy.
And you decided to write a book about it. So let's talk about the book. What made you, first of all, want to write a book in the first place? That is a huge undertaking. Yeah. And everybody, I feel like, has a thing that they can put out there that's their mark on the world. A book is a very specific avenue to go down and a difficult one. So what made you decide, what was that first thought of like, I should do this, I should write a book?
Well, I'll tell you what it was. I kept getting questions, but nobody would ever like say anything on my page. They would send me a DM because, people who, and there's a whole chapter on my invisibles. I love them so much. They're the people that are questioning. They're still in religion, but they're too afraid to like my content or quote or, share it or even comment on it. They don't want anybody to know that they're in this place because it's scary. You do lose a lot. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's tough. But I would get so many questions like, what happened? What do you think of Jesus? What do you think of the Bible? Do you still believe that Jesus died for your sins? Do you believe this? And I was so tired of answering these questions over and over again that I was like, why don't you just write a book about it? So I wrote a book and I shared why deconstruction started for me, what that journey looked like, what that looked, because a lot of people are like, what does it mean to it sounds so destructive. And it's not. It's actually just looking at things that you've been taught. For me, this is what it was, okay? For me, deconstruction was taking the things I was taught, and if I felt like they weren't loving, then I would search and make sure that that's the correct the only translation. If this is the only way that I can translate this, then I guess I have to believe it. This is how I started, right?
Right.
But I realized there were other translations out there, other interpretations out there, and many of them much more loving, but they didn't line up with the narrative that I was taught. And then I think moving to Utah and being around another, very powerful religion, I was the minority all of a sudden, whereas before I was the majority.
So weird.
Yeah, I went from being the one praying for everyone to being the one everyone prayed for.
Yeah.
But I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, all religions think they're the only true religion. What if they're wrong? What if there is no religion that's right? And then I just kind of went back and read, scripture and the point of view of Jesus, and had conversations, started, listening to podcasts I was told not to listen to, reading books I was told not to read. And I realized why they didn't want me to read it, because it made sense. And it, people would say, you can't, like, let's use Rob Bell, for instance. Okay. We love Rob Bell. He's great. He was like the black sheep all of a sudden. He was this huge evangelical pastor we used to always listen to. And then when he started saying, I don't know if I believe in hell, all of a sudden he was canceled in evangelical culture. You read Rob Bell, you're going down the slippery slope, right? You're going to be deceived and blah, blah, blah. Well, I read it and I went, wait, this makes way more sense than what I've been taught. And I started digging and I started reading Rachel Held Evans and Jen Hatmaker and all these people that were like, don't do that. You can't read them. And I realized this is why they don't want me reading it, because it's making me think for myself. I wasn't looking at things the way they were as much as I was being given permission to have, I don't know, common sense and to think strategically and to be more intuitive.
Like critical thinking skills.
Critical
Just
thinking.
being able to download what you're reading and make
Right.
sense of it in a way that does make sense, and then then you can keep that,
Right.
and you don't have to put it up against something else that feels yucky.
One of the things they would teach me, though, is that my heart was desperately wicked and deceitful, and that you can't listen to your heart because your heart is going to lead you down a bad path. You have to listen to the Bible only, or listen to these teachers and blah, blah, blah. And so it's very hard to come out of that when you've been indoctrinated that you are desperately wicked and your heart is awful and it only wants bad things for you. Because then how do you trust yourself? So I had to learn to do that. And so I think writing the book was part of that process for me. It was almost like therapy. I even say that in the very last chapter. I'm like, this book has been like therapy for me because it helped me to get out what was going on inside of me.
Yeah.
And then I just put it, out there for the world. It's never going to make the New York Times bestseller. I didn't, you know what I mean? Like, honest to God, it's never been about money for me, ever. If it was about money, I would be doing something else. Okay. Frankly, but it's more about making sure people don't feel so alone in this journey, because it can be really hard. That 5 or 6 years of my life were spent me just being very quiet. And you know me, Rachel.
That's not for you.
It's not for me.
That's not the life for you.
But I had to do the work. I mean, it was work, but it was lonely and it was terrifying. And I just know that when you first start a deconstruction journey, it can be so so isolating. And I just don't want people to feel alone. So that's why I wrote the book. And if I get money from it, fabulous. But this is not why I did it.
Right.
Ever. And
Right.
which is what I get accused of. Oh, you're just trying to peddle non-religion. You're trying to, I've been told I was an evangelist for unbelief now. And I'm like, no, I still believe. I just don't believe what you believe.
Yeah, it's the biggest misconception when it comes to deconstruction. And I love the fact that you kept deconstruction in the title of your book. Because was it you that I was talking to, or we're like, that word, it's just like you don't want to say it. You don't want to say cult. There are certain words that are just trigger words for people, but it's like,
it is
what
it
else
is.
do we call it?
It is a cult. And I didn't realize that until I was fully like immersed in deconstruction. And I looked up, I started reading, and there's a chapter in my book that talks about this. Like, what are the specific things that say that you're in a cult? And some of these things were just so blatantly obvious. I was like, they only listen to this person. They only, you have to believe the way they believe. And it was so, and I realized it's not like I was a cult following like Jim Jones kind of leader.
Right.
It was the Bible. They were worshiping the Bible. They were telling me the Bible means if it's not biblical, it can't be true. And yet I saw Jesus pushing up against scripture, saying, you've heard it said this, and you're even living your life like this is true. But you're searching the scriptures for everything, and you're never going to find it.
Right.
And he was so clear. And I tell people, and of course they don't know what to do with this, but it's true. I follow Jesus out of religion. And so I would still say I'm a Jesus follower, but not in the sense that like, oh, if you don't follow him, you're going to go to hell. I follow him because he knew what the hell was up. He loved unconditionally. The only time he had harsh words were for the religious people that were putting just rules and burdens upon people that they couldn't carry.
Yeah. Can we give Jesus some
Like,
props?
yes.
Like,
I mean, he seriously knew what was up.
Yeah.
And so, I want to live my life like that. Simple as that. I mean, so if you want to call me a Christian, that's fine. Christians don't think I'm a Christian. Mormons don't think I'm a Christian. I don't really care what anybody thinks anymore because I'm just trying to love. And if you lean into love, it will lead you away from religion. It just will.
yeah, I mean, I can totally relate. I loved in your intro, you said, I guess I just had bigger expectations for a system who claimed to represent God. And I can definitely relate to this because the system that I was a part of had their theme that was for the one. That was their theme. And when it came down to it, they didn't care about the one in need or the one that really was struggling. So I struggled with the system not representing the God that I knew when it came down to the wire.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's what slowly started my own deconstruction process, too. It's not like people leave because they get hurt.
No.
It's just
That's just proof that you need to leave.
you need to leave. It's not, it's like, I will keep that. I followed Jesus out of religion. I'm going to keep that with me for the rest of my life because I think same.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you really want to be like Jesus, they're going to call you a socialist.
Yeah.
They're going to call you a libtard. They're going to
Yeah.
call you all the things. And I'm like, but think about it though, Rachel. They literally put him on a cross because they said he was a blasphemer. He was a demon. He was, they thought he was crazy.
Yeah.
I get those same insults. And I'm like, I'm not trying to say I'm like Jesus. I know better, but
No,
I am.
sure, but it's
I am in
radical.
good company.
Radical love, I think, is
is.
going to get that reaction from people. And that's what he
Yes.
did, was just radical love. And the way that you do that and the way you move in your life is from a place of radical love. So I feel like some Christians really don't like when Jesus is put in front of their face.
No.
And that's really unfortunate because he's pretty cool.
He's pretty cool, but he's also, he's the anti-religion if you really look at it. Like he literally would choose people over laws. He always chose to keep someone's dignity before he would enforce a law. Mm-hmm. And that's the one thing he would always push up against. He's like, if somebody's hurting on the Sabbath, would you just let them be? No, if their ox is stuck, you get the ox out of the ditch. You don't let it go until the next day because you're following the law.
Right.
It's always compassion, empathy, people, love, kindness over law. Mm-hmm. And I was not finding that where I was. And there's a lot of people who are very lovely who are still in that religion. More power to you. I mean, like, it's just that if you start questioning, just don't be afraid to do that. I feel like God gives us a brain for a reason. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, not so that we would check it at the door when we go into a ceremony, you know.
Right.
And the more I learned about neuroplasticity, did you read that part in the book? Like, I talk about
Oh, yeah.
freaking mind blowing.
Yeah,
Literally.
do you want to talk about that a little
Yes,
bit?
I want
Yeah,
to talk
go
about
ahead.
that. Because when I realized that, I realized this, I'm not in rebellion for deconstruction. This is science. This is what happens when your lived experience doesn't line up with what you've been taught is true, is you start asking these questions. But the thing is, think about what you do when you're in church. You go every Sunday. If you don't go, you feel judged, you feel guilty. You hear the same things. You sing the same songs. You're in quiet times every day reading the Bible with a commentary from John MacArthur, you know, or whatever, whoever is, you know, commenting, telling you what the scripture means.
Right.
And you are to follow that to the letter. And they're like, if you get out of the word, you're going to lose your faith. If you're out of connection with these other Christians, if you're not in fellowship, I call it the F word, with other believers, you're going to lose your faith. Why would they do that? I don't even think they realize they're doing this, but it's because that message just keeps ruminating in your brain. And scientifically, even if something is totally untrue, Rachel, if I locked you in a room and told you the same thing over and over again, even if it wasn't true, you would walk out of that room going, that is the most true thing that has ever been in my life. And it is science, not because you're stupid, not because you're naive, because you're a human being with a brain that is wired to believe what is told to, you know, over and over again, the message. And this is why when I left the church, it was so much easier to deconstruct, because I was like, oh, actually that makes sense. And I think I'm going to trust that. You know, I just followed love, and it took me far away from what I had been taught was love. It was the weirdest thing. So neuroplasticity, highly recommend doing a deep dive on that. I know it sounds really boring, but it's not. You can rewire your brain. And that's what I've done. And that's why when people are like, you need to come back and blah, 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 I'm like, I wouldn't do that if you paid me $1 million and promised me, you know, a seat right next to Jesus in heaven.
Right.
Because I know that I know that I know now that wasn't true for me. It just wasn't. And it felt true in the moment, but now I know why.
The veil has been lifted.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Which is a very freeing place to be.
So freeing.
But damn, it's painful
It
to
is
get there.
so painful.
It's
And
so painful.
It's
Do
why
we
I do what I
have to?
do. But that's why I do what I do. I want to coach people through this. I help them through that. I write books, and I have a Substack that literally my heart pours out of. I try not to post too much, but I have so much that's coming out of me recently. You know, I want people to feel less alone. And I want them to know it's okay. You have permission to question the things that you were taught, especially if it is straining a relationship with another human being. If something is telling you can't have a relationship with that person because they're breaking this law, please question that, because that cannot be from God. He wants us in relationship with one another. He wants us to have mercy. He doesn't desire a sacrifice. He desires mercy and for us to know who God is, if there is a God. I know you don't believe in God. That's totally fine. I don't even think he cares if there is one. I think there's a God, but here's what I've come to understand. And I love this. This was freeing for me. I have kids. If they were told their whole life that I was a horrible person who would send them to hell if they didn't believe the right way, if I was dangling them, and if they turned their back on what they were taught was truth, and that meant God was going to leave them, or I would leave them. If they were told all these lies about me their whole life and decided they didn't want to believe in me anymore, I'd be like, I get it. Like, you're good.
Yeah.
Just because you don't believe it doesn't make it me not your God. You know what I mean? Your mom. Like, I'm
Right.
still your mom. That's not going to change. So if there is a God, I believe God wants us feeling safe. And if that means we can't believe in what we were taught was true, and that's what makes us feel safe, then I think that God would be very thrilled.
That's so good. And I completely agree. And I thought it was hilarious when you were talking about your move to Utah and just being around Mormons. And the differences there. So having been both, I can say there's some stark differences between Mormonism and evangelical Christianity. There are some similarities too. I would say that Mormons are Christians based off of what I know they believe. But hell's fun. I didn't grow up with that. So Mormons don't grow up with hell. They grow up with outer darkness. And there's like levels to it. And there's like a point where when you die, there's like a waiting room and you can go in and accept the Mormon church as the true church and then go to heaven. So hell was never something that as a kid I was afraid of. But I want to quote something from your book about hell. You said, "It seems cruel and even psychotic for someone to torment someone forever just because they believe something wrong. If a person did that to their child because they didn't believe something right away here on earth, or the right way here on earth, that person would be prosecuted for child abuse and endangerment. Why are we teaching people that this is the character of a loving God?"
Yeah.
And I loved that because I didn't grow up with hell. So when I became an evangelical Christian, I didn't really carry hell with me. And so when people would talk to me as their leader, if they were ever afraid of hell, I mean, I would try to debunk that immediately.
Yeah.
Like,
So you never bought into that. You were like,
no,
"Meh."
I never bought into hell in my whole experience.
That's
being,
good.
Being a Christian.
You
So,
lucky duck.
I know. Like, what was that like?
Awful.
What was it like growing up and
my
then
gosh.
teaching your kids that and then realizing that it might not be? I mean, you don't believe in hell.
No.
So then
I
coming
do, but
out
not
of
the way I
that-
used to.
Right.
The way I believe in hell now, I'll tell you right now, when I believed in hell, that's when I lived in it. That's what hell is to me. Hell is when we teach somebody something that is so cruel and so evil, and we teach them that that's love. And then we wonder why so many Christians and so many people in different religions, act that way. It's because that's the God that they're worshiping. They think God is going to throw them in hell if they believe wrong. If you believe that's who God is, aren't you going to emulate that in your life? Doesn't it make sense to
Right.
cut your kid off because the most important thing is that they make it to heaven one day? Like,
Right.
even if I don't have a relationship with you this whole time in this world, it doesn't matter because the only thing that matters is that you make it to heaven. Like, they're so focused on what's coming next, they're completely missing the whole point of life. And I always say when I had certainty and I knew I was right and this is the only truth, when I had that, I spent my entire life defending it instead of living it. And now I'm living in freedom. I don't have certainty anymore. Do I believe there's a God? Sure. Do I know how? No. And does it make sense to me? I don't know. I just know that if I don't believe, I'm going to slip into an existential crisis. Like, I need that.
Right.
And I'm okay with believing that for myself. But if somebody else doesn't, I'm not like, oh my God, they're going to go to hell then. Like, it's gone. Like, I can't even tell you. There were so many instances where I remember praying for my son to be miserable. I was like, please, God, make him miserable so he can find his joy in you. I don't care if his whole life is miserable. And now I'm like, what the heck were you thinking? Like, but I was so indoctrinated and I was so afraid of hell. And the weird thing is when I talk to people now who are Christians and I'm like, yeah, I was really afraid. They're like, oh, I'm not afraid at all. And I'm like, really? Do you not really believe? You must not believe in hell. I think I just believed it. And I think a lot of people have this cognitive dissonance. If you really believed in hell, I promise to God, you would be so afraid. And you probably are. And you don't even realize it. You think you're being loving, but you're just afraid. And it's so messed up. And when you can't see it when you're in it, but when you come out of it, you're like, I have so much compassion for these people. Like, I'm not mad. I'm not angry with what they taught me. It's what they knew.
Right.
I used to do the same thing. Right.
Right.
But like, I'm always going to err on the side of you're doing the best you can with what you know right now. And growing up, teaching my kids about hell is the biggest regret that I have.
Wow.
My kids really struggled with anxiety. I remember praying with them at night. They would pretty much every night want to ask Jesus into their heart in case it didn't work the night before.
Oh, I remember
And
you
they were
telling
so
me that.
afraid. They were so afraid they were going to, like, we even prayed, now I lay me down to sleep. I pray, dear Lord, my soul you'll keep. Please, God, watch me through the night and wake me with the morning light. But the original one was, if I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul will take. And I took that out and said, please God, watch me through that. Because I was like, I don't want, but that was what I was telling them, is that if you die and you're not a Christian, you're going to go to hell.
Yeah.
And so these are kids who are still trying to figure out trust. They're still trying to figure out who they are. They're still, they're still developing in their brains, and immediately they're terrified. And I know because I was that kid.
I usually ask this as a joke, but I'm kind of serious. Do you feel like the Bible could be classified as like child abuse to a certain degree if you're teaching it in certain ways that are literal? I mean, we're literally teaching kids about eternal torment. There's incest and rape in there. There's a lot of stuff in the Bible that's pretty inappropriate for children.
Yeah.
And I just wonder where you think the line is between the real issues that could be categorized under the umbrella of abuse and then just a religious belief and like the cognitive
This is a
dissonance
very tender topic, because I know a lot of people who are still in it who would say it's blasphemy that you're saying this. But I am going to tell you, I do think it's abusive. I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. If it is disrupting a relationship between you and someone else, or them and God, then look into the interpretation. So it's not the Bible that I have a problem with, Rachel. It's the way it's interpreted. It's the way it's interpreted literally. It's the way, there's so much imagery and so much myth in the Bible that is taught as fact.
Right.
And it's like, you really have to have cognitive dissonance to sort of fall into that and believe that. And you don't realize that's what's happening when it's happening. It's really difficult to come out of that. But I do think I would have never done that. Like, it makes me want to cry a little bit, because I would have never done that had I known the impact it would have on my kids. But knowing my heart back then, I was terrified they were going to go to hell. My God, I was terrified of being separated from my kids for all of eternity. I remember thinking, how am I going to go to heaven and enjoy it when I know my son is burning in hell? Like, every day, even the best day, I would go to bed and I couldn't sleep because I knew my son hadn't said the prayer right, or his life didn't reflect that he was seriously a changed Christian, or he didn't believe the right way. I was so afraid for him, to the point where when he would come visit me, at one point he was just like, Mom, I'm just not coming to visit you anymore. He goes, I'm just making you sad and it breaks my heart. He's like, you just want me to be something that I'm not. And I just need you to trust me. And I prayed about it. I don't know if God spoke to me or not. I think I thought he did. And he said, just treat him like he's already there. And then when I started treating my son like he was already where I thought he should be, I realized he was. And I stopped being afraid. And now I'm like, my kid knew stuff before I did. Like, he gets it. He gets it. And I just think there's a lot of people, Rachel, too, who are deconstructing, who are very, very artistic, thoughtful, creative, empathic people. And they're the first ones to deconstruct, because they're the ones that were in it so much and so deep. They were in it so much. And like, I was 1,000% in. I mean, when people try to tell me you were never one of us, I'm like, really? Have you read some of the stuff? I mean, like cringy stuff that I've written in the past. Like, I'm like, oh God, Leslie. But, I do think that we just have to be really careful, not to be like angry with these people. My heart was in the right place when I taught my kids this. Mm-hmm. I know I just wanted to save them. People act on what they believe is true. And if you really believe that's true, if you're not acting on it, there's something wrong with you.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
They're just doing what they know. That's why you just got to love. That's why you just got to love people.
I love that that's what you always come to as the full circle conclusion, because it's so true. And it seems like, oh, so simple, just love people. But no, it's not, especially if you've been indoctrinated your whole life to be taught how to love people in a very specific way with very specific guidelines and boundaries. Mm-hmm. I love that you come full circle with it, and this kind of pivots into what I wanted to talk about just briefly before we wrap up. But you do talk about politics and religion in your book. And regardless of people's involvement in politics, I think most people paying attention in 2025 had some level of political turmoil in their heart. You talk about your shock at people voting for Trump the first time, and I, along with my whole family, are in that camp as well. Shocked from the original vote, still shocked today. And you were shocked because people were also voting and supporting him under the umbrella of Christianity and calling it Christianity. And we'd see him just like stand up there with his fake Bible to take a picture, and then he'd like toss it. And I'm just like, that, how have politics and religion impacted your life in more recent years, and how do you navigate that? Because I think a lot of us are out here like, what the fuck do we do? And we need a Mama Leslie to help us
Let me
navigate
give you my wisdom.
this.
No, I'm kidding. I don't really have wisdom. You know what? Secondhand. I'll give you some secondhand wisdom from Jesus. Okay.
Love.
You mentioned right before you asked that question about love. Like, you always come back to love. You always come back. It's the narrow way. Remember when Jesus talked about the narrow way? He wasn't talking about there's a narrow way to get to heaven. There's a narrow way of living, and it's the one that's not very crowded. It's not the wide road to destruction, which to me is a system that is trying to control people. Politics and religion. Who put Jesus on the cross? Everybody told me I did with my sin because I'm such a wretch. No, I didn't. Politics and religion. These systems of the world are the wide road to destruction. And when people come to me and they're like, you're on a wide road to destruction now, Leslie, I'm like, am I? Because it's not very crowded here. Do you know what I mean? Like, most of the people are in a system telling them what to believe, what to do, how to do that. You know, they're not following love.
Right.
They're following a system. And if a system leads away from love, woo, 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 red flag.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think it's just, the answer isn't really, for me, the answer isn't like being mad and angry, even though I do get there. I do have my moments. For me, it's about showing a better way. It's walking that narrow path, even when it's hard. And it's hard. And you know what's really hard is to love the people that I'm mad at.
Ooh. Yeah.
It's the narrow way for a reason, babe. Like, even people who are trying to fight against these systems jump onto that wide road when they start to hate. And that's what we need to remember. Right? Like, what does love look like? How can we walk this out? Love means standing up for people. It means doing the thing, but not like necessarily attacking people. Listen, they're sheep. They're following these systems because they think that this is the way.
Right.
Like, it's the systems that need to be attacked, not the people. The people, honest to God, I don't think most people give much thought to anything. They're just like, this is how I was taught to believe since I was born. This is where I was born. So this is my belief system. They are a product of their environment most of the time. And that's why I was a Republican for so long. And actually, I'll be honest, I am a registered Republican right now, only because I live in Utah. And if I want to vote in the primaries, I have to be a registered Republican. It is a loophole. They got me to be a Republican, but I am not. I'm more independent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what I just try to do is make decisions in my life, in my circle, with my people, in my community. I try to make the best decision for everyone. I try to be as loving as I can. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life because all I want to do is burn it all down. If I'm honest, because that's human, but that's the wide road to destruction. So I just have to remind myself this path is going to be hard, and it's going to make people mad because I'm not mad enough. And it's going to make people mad because I'm not this enough or that enough. Like, I get it all the time. Why aren't you speaking up against this and this and that? It's like, I can't change the world by just being mad on social media. Like,
Right.
It's going to go into the algorithm of people who are either going to fight with me or agree with me. But like, what is it going to do? The best way to do it is on your feet, grassroots things from your community up, from your life up, your life, your family, your friends, your community, your state, then your country. Like, think about things that you can do that are positive, that show a better way. When Pilate asked Jesus, when he asked him, what is the truth? Jesus didn't tell him. He, because he asked Jesus, like, why are you here? What's your deal? He's like, I came to testify to the truth. He's like, well, what is the truth? Jesus didn't answer him because I don't think he had to. I think if you look at the life of Jesus, that's the truth. And I'm not trying to tell people go be a Christian, go to church. It's not about that. I don't go to church. I wouldn't even say that I was a Christian. I think some people may put that label on me. That's fine. I'm just trying to follow love. And that's exactly what Jesus did. So I'm just trying to reflect that. What did he do in the face of the worst oppression? What did he do on that cross? What did he say? Father, forgive them. They don't know what they do. He understood that even though they were doing things that were wrong, it was out of a heart of just absolute, they just didn't see it. They didn't know what they were doing. I don't know what the answer is. He died doing that. Do you know what I mean? But I know it changed a lot of lives. And it showed people, maybe if there is a God, he's not angry and separated from us. Maybe he loves us so much that he's willing to stand up in the face of violence that we're so good at doing when we don't understand something and it doesn't fit into our little box.
I know.
We're just going to get mad and we're just going to kill you. That'll take care of it. And I think the whole point, whether or not the resurrection was real or not, I don't know. I don't know where I stand with that. But I do know it's a great symbolism of that's the thing that's going to last. Love. That's it. You can't kill that. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know. Does all that make sense?
Yeah. No,
I feel like I just went preaching on you. I
I'm
apologize.
just like soaking in it. Should I say soak?
You can say that. You can,
Soaking.
oh wait, no, maybe not. I forgot about that.
I'm just soaking over here.
You're marinating. You're
marinating
marinating.
in
There
it.
you go.
So on a daily basis, for people who are struggling with what we're seeing in the world right now, what we're seeing in America right now, who still want to hold on to their faith, what would you suggest something maybe that they could do, whether that be practical, daily, weekly, if they're just wanting to stay probably in the presence of the Lord, their
The divine,
source, the
whatever,
divine, while dealing with all of this turmoil? Like, how do you stay grounded just daily?
You really need to get away from social media. Take breaks. I'm not saying hide your head in the sand. You have to take a walk. You have to go on a hike. You have to remember that there's so much more. You have to, serve in your community. Do something that shows love. Don't just like receive it. Like show it in any way that you can. Maybe your neighbor had surgery. Make them a meal. Maybe somebody had, maybe they were lost and you gave them direct, like doing the little things reminds us that, life sucks right now. I mean, it does, but there are good people and there are good things and you can be one of those people. You know what I mean? And when we're just mad all the time, it's hard to be that. It's hard to be a light when it's like, don't let the freaking world put your light out. Don't let them do it. They're going to try. They're going to try because they don't want these lights shining. They want you doused or they want you in inferno, like burning it all down.
For sure.
Be intentional with your love.
I love that.
Yeah.
Be intentional with your love.
And don't give up hope because I do think it is, and look at history. Guys, we've been here before. This isn't the first time. There's nothing new under the sun. We know this. Like we will get through this. But the things that we're going to remember, like even 9/11, think about it. When that happened, it was awful. It was terrible. But man, do you know what I remember? Is how we all came together.
Right.
We were all focused on unity for once. And it felt so good. It didn't last long, but it felt good. There will be those moments. And don't be so busy looking at these moments that you miss these. Like find the joy, lean into the love and do what you can to help the people that can't help themselves because that in itself is
absolutely
powerful.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you can get out of your own head in any way. And deleting social media is a great start.
Right. And like you ask specifically people who want to hold on to their faith, what should they be doing? Oh God, I love you if that's you. Like I get it. Like Some people get rid of it altogether. And I get that too. I want to love all of you because I feel like there's a reason why you do what you do and why you want to lean in or lean out, whatever. But people who are trying to lean, deconstruction is not letting go of your faith.
Right.
It's saying, I believe this. And it's like, I actually think I have faith now for the first time, because before it was certainty and I was terrified of losing it. I was terrified of anybody questioning it, and any thread that was pulled was horrifying to me, because I'm like, dang it, is there more?
Right.
You know, and now I'm like, I don't know. Like, listen, you could talk to me tomorrow and be like, I don't think I believe in God anymore. Like, I am going to be okay with that because I'm holding it so loosely. And my faith tells me that wherever life leads me, I'm going to be okay as long as I'm loving.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So don't get so caught up in if I'm giving up on my faith. No, you're giving up on your indoctrination that doesn't feel like love. You're giving up on the things that are holding you back from connecting with other human beings and God. That's a good thing. Like, why do we turn ourselves into these villains when we do it? And it's like, no, I am fighting for my faith. I'm not trying to get rid of it. And I think when you look at it that way, it changes everything.
Wow, that is such an interesting perspective. It's like a celebration of deconstruction in a way, because you're getting your brain back for starters. Like, that was the biggest thing for me, was feeling like, wow, I can think for myself. Like, that's amazing. And like, there isn't something major that I could lose that would destroy my life. It's just like, it is. I'm holding it loose.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been an amazing episode.
It's been so fun.
This has just been an
It's like
amazing
having coffee
conversation.
with you. Like,
I know.
We do it all the time. So
I know. And we needed to get coffee, so this is great. I still want to get together again. I'll come to your house.
Of course.
But your gorgeous house. But thank you so much for just the wisdom that you have and your ability and desire to share it on multiple different platforms. No matter where you go, no matter what you touch. I'm gonna cry.
Yeah.
It's really powerful, because it sets a fire off in other people's hearts, and it's just like, those people, me included, need it. We need it really bad. We need those reminders. And this was just one giant reminder to just keep doing what I'm doing, and keep supporting what you're doing and what my friends are doing, and everyone who's out there pounding the pavement, trying to, fight against injustice and struggling with their own faith and trying to hold on to anything that they know to be real. Yeah. It's just love at the end of the day is like the realest thing that we all have in common. It's like,
it's the narrow way, but it's the way.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. And it's the only way you can get out of here and get out of this in one piece, I think.
Yep. Well, since we are on She Toasted, a toast to you, Leslie. We've got some sweet tea in our chalice.
In the chalice. This is so Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
I love it.
No, I needed to be dramatic. So cheers to you and your story.
Thank you. Oh, that's good.
Oh, yeah. Love a good Southern tea.
Yes, you can take the girl out of the South, but you cannot take the South out of the girl.
Never.
I am sure.
So if you've listened to this entire episode, thank you so much. Welcome to this community that we are building, as I'm wiping my tears. If you would like to connect with Leslie, I will drop the links to her social media and her book and her podcast, all of those things in the description. This will include where you can buy the links where you can buy her book, tune into her podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode, heathens. This was an amazing episode for me and just an amazing conversation. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you would like to email into the show, email rachel@shetoasted.com, and we will see you next time. Cheers.